Hello everyone, welcome to Conversations with Sakina. Today we are going to do another cold case with a Grand Tableau Lenormand layout using method of distance. This cold case is a cold case. It took place in 1966. The story I found on a channel called Untamed, with the title being 5 Children Who Went Missing at Yellowstone National Park. I will put the link to that video in the description box below. So if you want to hear a more thorough story than what I'm going to give, you can find it there. So this story is about a child by the name of Dennis Eugene Johnson who disappeared at the age of 8 in Yellowstone National Park. With him in Yellowstone that day, which was April 12th, 1966. With him that day was his father William, his mother Betty, and his 3 sisters Doreen, Mary, and Diane. Sometime during their outing on that day, Mary wandered off. She was only 7. And she wandered off, and instead of going to the park rangers right away, they decided, Dennis and his dad decided to go in search of her. Now, Dennis had taken a lot of time with his dad, and his dad taught him survival skills and, how to survive in the wilderness. So when, I'm assuming, Dennis suggested they go opposite ways, his father felt very confident in Dennis being able to go out looking for his sister and come back without any issue. So this is what they did. Dennis and his father went total opposite directions. A little bit later in the day, Mary was found by a park visitor and taken to a ranger station, and that's where her father found her. And he went back to camp with Mary, and as nighttime came, they realized that something was definitely not going right. Dennis had not come back. And in fact, Dennis never did return. Despite the 2-week search that they did for him and pulling out all the stops, it was like $14,000 for this search, which back in 1966 was huge. They did not find any trace of Dennis. So what we're going to try to do today is lay out a Grand Tableau and see if we can determine what perhaps happened to Dennis out there in the wilderness. So to do this, I'm going to charge 3 cards using my purely simple Lenormand deck. The first card, the child card, is Dennis. The second card is a third-party person who may have done harm to Dennis. The third card we're going to charge as Mother Nature. Something happened that was natural or accidental instead of human-based. So I'm going to tuck these cards into my Lenormand deck and shuffle up really well and then lay them out in the Grand Tableau. So while I do that, I will put the video on speed so that you don't have to watch all of this in normal speed. So the question here is, what happened to Dennis on April 12th, 1966? Okay, so here is the layout of the Grand Tableau. And the first thing that we're going to do is take a look at the cards that we charged. As we can see over here, we have the Mother Nature card. Over here, we have the third party card and Dennis. We can safely say that as the cards show, that this was not a natural situation. It was not anything that was caused by Mother Nature or an accident. We have the third party looking right at the child. Now, this is Dennis's near cards, and with method of distance, we look at near. We don't have another side over here, so he has limited cards here for his near, or very near, I'm sorry, very near cards. And these cards on the outside here are his near cards. This included, I think. Okay, so this is far and this is very far. Okay, so if we look at the first three cards, which kind of gives a bit of an outline of what this reading is sharing. We're looking at the coffin, which, as we can see, is a long way away from Dennis. So my instinct says that he did not die. I think he lived a very long life and may still be living, but something inevitable or fateful happened to him. So let's look into that a little bit more. If we look at the corner cards, okay, again, we see the coffin and then the bear. Now the bear can be talking about strength. I'm thinking that Dennis may have been near death, perhaps caused by an actual bear, and needed protection. And that it wasn't Mother Nature, as we've already discussed, but it changed his life completely. So going to the middle here, we have the scythe, we have the whip, we have the birds, we have the ring. So I feel as though he was injured in a struggle, and that there was a couple, a married couple, who committed to caring for him. And the mice being near in like a missing objects, and I'm assuming with missing people also, when it's near, it means that the person will be found or has been found. So if we look over here at the situation, okay, with him, I feel as though this was a third party situation. The third party is looking at Dennis here. And I feel as though he was set upon by a bear, but that it ended up being a happy ending, so to speak. I believe, as I said, the couple found him and took him in, rather than turning him into authorities, maybe because they had no idea who he was. Although, depending on where they were from, they should have known he was missing. However, family was in the mind of these people, and they wanted a family. They wanted a happy family. So the key up here is the solution, and the fox is facing the key. So I feel like these people knew that they, shouldn't be doing what they were doing, shouldn't have taken Dennis with them despite his injuries. Okay, maybe it was a panic moment. They didn't know what to do. They went to get help, or they were able to help him themselves. Maybe his injuries weren't that extensive. So it could have, been an abduction situation anyway. And, the fox is looking at the key, which is the solution. So it was a deceitful thing to do. But it appears there was love involved. Just an emotional decision for this married couple. And down here in the fate line, I feel like it's saying that news was delivered to this couple. News was delivered to them that something that they hoped for was available. And despite knowing probably that he, had people looking for him and that he had another family, I believe they took him in. They took him home. So it could have been, too, the way that it looks in this fate line is that Dennis wasn't found right away, or they didn't find Dennis right away. I think they heard news. News came to them about something that they were hoping for. News came to them of Dennis's disappearance, and I think they went looking for him and found him injured by this bear. Saw that there was a struggle and instantly fell in love and took him in. So he was found. I believe he was found. At least that is what I'm seeing in the cards. But this whole situation obviously changed his life completely. And it looks like they kept him healthy, but I'm not really seeing anything that tells me why Dennis never, if this actually did take place, why Dennis never contacted his parents, contacted his original family. Unless, of course, he was so injured by the bear that he was unable to speak for himself, or maybe he grew up, but maybe they really had to care for him, this third party, this couple. Maybe they really had to care for him. But the one thing good here is that, it shows this bear attack ended up being having a very happy ending. I think that Dennis lived a very happy life, despite how the paths changed, his path changed. He had a very happy life and was part of a family. They were not deceitful to him. I think he may have known that he didn't belong to them. However, again, because of perhaps his injuries, I'm thinking that he, wasn't able to contact his previous family, or maybe he had amnesia. It's very hard to say exactly how that was, but, he was part of a family who was not deceitful to him. However, they could have turned him into his own family. They did not. They fell in love with him, and they found him, almost like a finders keepers kind of thing. But I think it was probably more than that for them. I just think that, top and foremost in their mind, they wanted a family, and they decided to drop their anchor with that, to make that decision and make Dennis's life a good one. So that's what I see in this Grand Tableau layout. If you are a seasoned reader, please feel free to put your suggestions, your comments about this reading in the comments below. That would be ever so helpful to me as I'm learning this system. So that's what I have. That's what the cards are showing about Dennis. So until next time, take care.